talk to me about how you got to this point, because you're here on a 9-fight win streak, right? And you know how this business is, especially in boxing. You suffer a loss, it's like, oh my God, the end of the world. And you suffered 2 losses early in your career when you were on Showbox. And now you're here. To me, it's like you're the personification of perseverance. What was the flip? What was it that changed things around for you?
You know, getting away from certain influences in my life, moving away from my hometown, getting out the hood, you know, things like that. We lost our gym in 2011, really right when I got out the Olympic trials. So, you know, I really didn't have nowhere to go other than the street. So it's just getting away from them outside influences and the outside noise, and you know, moving to Houston and just dedicate myself.
Houston's got some great fighters. I mean, now you, Charlo, Shakur. I mean, you got a lot of really good fighters here. Talk to me about the early days of O'Shaquie, because I don't know if a lot of people realize you were a phenomenal amateur. I mean, a really good amateur. And then, like you said, all of a sudden you get caught up in that life, that street life. What happened? What happened?
I would say guidance. You know, I lost my mother when I was 12. You know, to cancer. That was one of the big things. And then me and my pops, we was cool, but we didn't have like the best of relationships. You know, I had a rough time with him, so I basically was trying to find some guidance, trying to find something that, you know, that I can love, that care for me, and that's the first thing I thought would be was the streets and stuff like that. So that was the biggest part of it.
And when we talk about that street life, you even had to go to jail, and talk to me about what was that like for you? Was that an awakening when you were sitting maybe in the cell, like, holy cow, what am I doing here when I was, you know, a really good boxer? You know, what was that like for you, that part of your life?
The last time I went, it was the biggest thing, because I had been in and out, but it wasn't never any big charges. And the last time I went in, I was facing 10 to 20.
Wow.
And it was just like, you know, one of them things where what you gonna do? You know, you gonna be old man saying that you coulda, woulda, shoulda been, you know, this and that. So just not wanting to let my potential go to waste, and just wanted to try to give it all I got.
And when you got out, who was that one person that helped change things for you?
I would say my manager, Keith. He was there while I was in jail, things like that. After we moved out, we came straight to Houston. I went to train with Bobby, Ben, and Aaron and them, and it was just, you know, they've been knowing me since I was 8 years old. So it was a smooth transition. And
then when you talk about your career, let's go back to Showbox here, and I think it was Tia. Was that 2015 when you had that fight there?
Tia, yeah.
And I remember it was outside fight, so it was cold.
Yeah.
And it looked like O'Shaquie Foster froze in that fight. What happened that night?
Man, yeah, they had us fighting outside in Las Vegas like the end of November. But also, like I said, I was really still just trying to balance the streets and trying to box at the same time. We didn't have no gym in Orange, so we was just training in a warehouse with a gym. I mean, we built a little wooden ring. We had like one bag in there. It was just things like that, and I feel like I was rushed into that stage. Not saying that I wasn't ready, but you know, I wasn't even, like, I fought at 140 for that fight, and it was all kind of things that I did wrong, you know. But the cold didn't help.
Exactly, especially being from Texas. And so then you have another loss too on Showbox. And at what point after that second loss, what were you thinking?
Well, man, that second loss, a lot had happened that week. That Monday, before that fight, I think the fight was on Friday, my cousin, you know, rest in peace to him, he had got shot, you know, and he had got killed. And, you know, he was one of my closest, you know, people to growing up, you know, and that had really hurt me. And when I went to tell my coaches and my promoter and stuff like that, they kind of like shoot it off like, oh, he's lying, he's trying to get out of the fight or whatever. But you know, leading up to that, it was a whole bunch of stuff. They didn't want me to. It was crazy, man. They didn't want me to sign with this manager that I had signed with, and so they was coming to me. They came to me like 30 minutes before the fight and was like, you know, because he had got me a sponsor, and like within like 5 days, they like, oh, we'll take you off the card. We don't care if you fight tonight. Things like that. It was just, so when I went into the fight, I was just there. You know, I really didn't even want to, you know, be there. But after the fight, you know, we ended up separating from him. But early 2017, my grandma that I stayed with, you know, ever since my mother had died, she had died in the beginning of 2017. So it was just all going bad at that time.
Yeah, and you said your mother had died of breast cancer?
Cancer.
Of cancer.
Cancer, yeah.
So your mother died of cancer. Then your grandmother, who you were living with, died.
Yeah.
And then you were homeless, right? For the most part at one point.
Yeah, when I caught that charge and I actually got out, my little brother, he picked me up, and we tried to go stay with I tried to go stay with a few people, like his pops and stuff like that, and you know, they just didn't want me around. So ended up going to stay with one of my friends after a while. Then we moved to Houston. And I wouldn't just say move to Houston, but we left to go to Houston. We were staying in FEMA rooms for months, you know, and I was just going to the gym from there, and you know, I went and started staying on another friend's, you know, sleeping on another friend's couch, and then we ended up getting our own spot.
Wow. And now you turn things around, and here you are, you get on this roll, and at any time, especially like this after that second loss, did the confidence wane? Maybe not in your skills, but that you were going to make it.
Most definitely, because I had already seen a lot of the part of the business, and I just had fell out of love with the sport for a while, and I always knew I had the talent and you know, the confidence in what I could do, but it was just, you know, I knew I needed the right team, I knew I needed the right situation, and that was the biggest part of it, you know.
What was the best advice, O'Shaquie, you would give somebody who may have had a setback, but yet here you are, despite all of that you've been through, now on the precipice of becoming a world champion? What's the best advice you would give somebody?
Man, best advice I would give is you know, find a team that care about you, that you can relate to, and you know, get away from them outside influences, them outside noise, because a lot of the times it don't be you. You know, you can have homeboys and they can get into something, and you just want to be the protector. You want to be there for them, so you stand on a lot of stuff for them, and it gets you in trouble. It gets you out your element. So that was the biggest thing for me, separating myself from people that didn't have too much going for themselves, and you know, just dedicating myself and focusing in on what I needed to do.